How would you define values or ethics? At a recent workshop, I asked this question, and I think we had 14 different definitions. Most would say our values or our personal ethics are like a compass that tells us right from wrong. In other words, are we holding the same compassion and consideration for another as we would want held for ourselves? The golden rule, right? Well, your soul's compass is right there in your pocket, guiding you toward the right decisions. But what if it's misled you in the past and now you're wondering if it needs to be recalibrated? This podcast is all about helping you with your spiritual growth so you can overcome obstacles and manifest your destiny to crystallize all things good, basically, to have success on life's journey. It's all about getting unstuck by unlocking your hidden power. So let's get started. Hi there, and welcome. My name is Remy, like Do Re Mi. I'm a best-selling author and creator of the Get Unstuck Revolution. I help extraordinary women just like you dissolve the obstacles in your path so you can bring success to you. Now let's get started with today's video. Okay, let me jump off the screen here and switch to my laptop. All right. As I was making some notes for today's episode, and I'm looking at these words compass and compassionate, maybe you never noticed that they're almost the same word, but our moral compass is our compassion toward ourselves and others. It's what helps us make our everyday decisions that bring us closer to success. If you'd like to see success in full abundance along life's journey, and if you're wanting to tap into a greater knowingness and align with the higher consciousness of your infinite self, instead of the lower ego thinking and negative thoughts that push success away, then this is for you. It's time to be unabashedly, unapologetically, happily untethered to ego thinking. It's time to align with the higher energies of our soul's path instead. This episode is for you if you wonder how to tune up or recalibrate your moral compass. Why betrayal happens. Ooh, this is a good one. And what to do if you violated your values and hurt someone in the process, because yes, our moral compass can become corrupted after a spiritual injury or a trauma. Well, these episodes are all about how to find your hidden power when you want to transform challenges into successes. I like to call it the audacity of alchemy. Because when we're feeling stuck, it's never the situation that has us stuck, it's our energy about it that's become stuck in anxiety, overwhelm, doubts, worries, frustrations, indecision, and even anger. And often this is because of a spiritual injury that we've experienced, some kind of hidden trauma. So it isn't the pain of our situation, it's the pain of not being connected in the natural energy of who we really are, of being connected to that magical part of us that's a creative vibrational being who can use positive energies to create what we want and bring it into physical manifestation. We can allow our manifestations to materialize and not get stuck in the negative vibrations that block them. These positive energies that we talk about so much are where we find the magic of alchemy, because our choice of frequency, our choice of those positive thoughts and emotions can change the course of our journey. And so, anytime we're taking a journey, we might use a compass, right? And as we look at these words, compass and compassionate, that I have on the screen for you here, compass and compassionate, maybe you never noticed that they're almost the same word. Our moral compass is our compassion toward ourselves and others. It's what helps us make our everyday decisions toward our growth and evolution and helps others with their evolution as well. What we do can set us back, and what we do may set someone else back if they're hurt because of our actions. Our moral compass and our compassion points us toward our values and our morals and our ethics to help guide us so that we can make the best decisions for our own spiritual growth and so that we don't hurt others. Now, you may have noticed that when we violate the basic laws of compassion, we end up hurting ourselves or someone else. When we violate the basic laws of compassion, we're off our true north. Now, if we aren't holding compassion and consideration for ourselves, how can we hold it for someone else? We want to discover what compassion and consideration for our own self means. What is our North Star? What do we really want? And where are we headed? And when we suffer through a spiritual injury, especially trauma like PTSD, our moral compass often becomes corrupted. We lose sight of right versus wrong, up versus down, left versus right. I mean, even our identity can become distorted. And this is one of the many reasons why we don't want to be quick to judge others. We want to stay in our own lane and develop our own compass and our own sense of compassion, no matter what's happening around us, because we don't know what someone else is going through and that they're making what we perceive as, sorry, and why they're making what we perceive to be such bad and hurtful decisions. Let me say that again. We don't want to judge others or be too quick to judge them because we don't know what they're going through and why they're making what we perceive to be such bad and hurtful decisions. All right. So, the first thing to know is that each of us has our own unique compass. And this is what I've discovered in my workshops. When I ask, how would you define values or how would you define ethics? I'll get as many different answers as there are people in the room. Our moral compass is unique to us. Now, most would say it's a compass that tells us right from wrong, but what's right for me might not be right for you, and what's wrong for me might not be wrong for you. The classic example? Well, we've talked about this before. The woman who steals groceries because her children are hungry. So, what we're talking about here are those personal values that guide us in making our decisions. We've had a lifetime to understand our values, mostly based on our own experiences, both good and bad. Sometimes these values are taught to us in school or some program we've taken, or maybe a book or an article that influenced us. And sometimes we understand our values at a deeper level because of some hurt that we've gone through, or someone else that we've hurt and then felt bad when we reflected on it. At our core, though, we usually have 5 or 6 values that are a guiding light for us. Now, you can go out into the internet and search for the phrase values exercise, and I hope you do. There's a lot out there if you search for values exercise. But I'm going to put a quick example on the screen for you. What I hear a lot in my workshops as values are authenticity, kindness, integrity, hear that one a lot, loyalty, and of course, what we're talking about here, compassion. And as we've talked about before, values are sometimes just a convenient list of pretty words. It isn't until we put them into action that they shift from a value to a virtue. And that's really what we're going for is practicing and strengthening our values and expressing them out in the world as virtues. Okay. Now, if you've never done a values exercise before, I hope that you'll take the time to do this. You'll find lots of them on the internet. And even if you've done this before, life changes every day. We evolve and we grow, and we want to continue to strengthen our values as part of our spiritual growth. So even if you've done it before, I hope you'll refresh. But for now, let's look at an example. We'll be using these 5 words that I spoke of a minute ago: authenticity, kindness, integrity, loyalty, and compassion as an example. So these are some common values that people often choose. Of course, you would choose your own. And then one of the first things you would do is write down a quick definition for each of the values you've chosen, just to be sure there's absolute clarity and why a particular value is important for you. Let's say that for you, authenticity means being genuine, being real, and that others can depend on your word. And let's say that for you, kindness would mean warmth, being gentle, and a sense of empathy. Now, let's say that for you, integrity, well, this is a unique one. I'm not sure if anyone has ever given me the same answer twice on this word integrity. It's interesting. If this is a value that you've chosen, you may find that you'll write out a page or two of definitions before you finally zero in on what integrity actually means for you. And here's another common one: loyalty. For you, it might mean fidelity, steadfast, that others can count on you for support. Compassion. For you, it might mean understanding, sensitivity, maybe an urgent desire to help. So, as we look at these definitions that I've got on the screen here for you, the first thing to notice is that your definitions will be very personal for you. So let's see how this might work in the real world. Let's say that our business partner or our love partner seems like a good match, like we hold the same values, but then some kind of betrayal happens. And then we quickly see that our values aren't aligned at all. Maybe our business partner embezzled money or shared trade secrets or plagiarized something, and we see that there's a violation across the board of our values. Now, maybe that business partner is basically a kind person, but now we can see that even that is disingenuous. As another example, let's say that our love partner breaks our heart into a million pieces, pretends it didn't happen, ghosts us, or whatever. How many of our values here were violated? And now we either are left to justify their behavior, or we also have the opportunity to strengthen our own values here in some way. Let me say that again. When we suffer a betrayal, that's an opportunity to shift our focus to strengthening our own values, our own sense of self, rather than being angry for what they did. These betrayals are often part of a sacred contract that we entered before we came to this planet in order to understand ourselves better. So, when we talk about those times where we felt like we were misled by our own compass, this is often what's happened. We stopped focusing on our values and our spiritual growth and shifted our focus to what the other person did. So, this opportunity to strengthen our own values is what will help us to recalibrate our compass. All right. Now, in either of these situations where a business partner embezzled money or shared trade secrets, or our other example where a love partner broke our heart into a million pieces, it might be a challenge to strengthen our own values. Maybe our compassion kicks in. Maybe our sense of fairness kicks in. And maybe this is confusing us. So you can see how it's possible that our own values are being tested. Or, and make a note of these two important points. One, sometimes there's a value we've ignored that's been wanting to bubble up to the surface and become part of the core of who we are. Maybe this situation happened because this value has been wanting to come forward. And here's the other thing to make a note of. A breakup in our business or our personal lives is rarely about the situation at hand. It's almost always a breakup because there was a mismatch in values. Okay, so let's move on. So, how do we read our own soul's compass? How do we learn to read our soul's compass? In other words, we want to understand how our values might affect our decision making process. We want to engage our values because how we move forward from a situation could become a defining moment for us. We don't want to read our compass, hear the intuition or the guiding voice within, and then go a different direction, turn away from a decision that supports our values, right? We don't want to go in a completely different direction. We want to follow our compass. But this is exactly what happens when you betray someone or when someone betrays you. We hear the guiding voice directing us toward what we really want, but then sometimes we sabotage it and move in a completely different direction. So we always want to take a moment to engage our compass and hear what that guiding voice has to tell us. Now, for me, I feel like I have a good handle on this, and maybe you do too. But sometimes we're exposed to situations that are new, that we've never faced before. Like way back in my 20s when I dated a drug addict and had no clue what I was in for. I just never had drugs or alcohol abuse anywhere in my family. So sometimes we're faced with a brand new situation and it throws us off. Our compass kind of just spins around in all directions because of the confusion, right? Or maybe we find ourselves in a situation where we're highly triggered because of a spiritual injury or some kind of a past trauma. We're triggered. Maybe after that trauma, we never recalibrated our compass, and so we still don't know which way is up. Or maybe we've taken on a new role, like a new position at work, and we very much don't want to fail. And so we're kind of off balance from the beginning, unable to get our feet under us. We may find this in a new relationship too. We don't want to fail, and so we're kind of off balance. Maybe we failed in this kind of role before, and so we have some uncertainty about our true north. So, how do we read our soul's compass? Well, one is to review the values and ethics that we already have in place. If we're faced with a betrayal or something that throws us off, we can review our values of whatever they are: authenticity, kindness, integrity, loyalty, compassion. We can review our values and we can see very clearly that there's a violation. And so rather than focusing on the betrayal, we focus on recentering in our values. We focus on recentering inside of our own guiding light. But remember that in any situation, we'll also have the opportunity to strengthen our values or uncover a new set of values for this new chapter that's unfolding before us. All right. Is there ever a situation where it's okay to ditch our values? Well, you know that TV show that was called What Would You Do? Let's look at three scenarios and let's see what would you do. And I'll put these up on the screen for you. Here's the first example. One, you and your spouse have different values and neither one has wrong values. We might call them right values. You've both been married before. He doesn't always put his kids first, and you think his kids should always come first. He feels like your marriage or your partnership should come first. After all, his ex wife has primary custody of his kids. You feel like the kids need their dad more than ever, and you're willing to sacrifice your time together so that he can make that investment in them. What would you do? Whose values are more important in this situation? Hmm. All right, let's look at the second example. And let's say that you and your business partner are considering taking on a new project. She is highly technical and you are highly creative. Because you've worked together for a while, well, you know she's going to try and drag you into the technical world because she loves it so much. But it would give you a serious migraine headache, like every day. You have a value of responsibility, and you can see how important this technical upgrade is to your business, but responsibility is nowhere in her top five values. Nothing wrong with that. Her top values are really good, in fact, but you're considering letting this idea of responsibility for advancing the business technically go by the wayside because of the headache it would bring you. What would you do? Would you let your core value of responsibility slide in this instance? Now, remember, breakups are often because of a mismatch in values. So, letting this slide could mean the breakup of your business partnership. What would you do? All right, and let's look at our last example. Our third example here: you and your best friend of 20 years are at a crossroads. You've found out her husband has developed a gambling habit. Now, you have a very strong value of loyalty, but suddenly you're questioning what that means. Are you loyal to protecting her and how it could destroy her if she found out or if it were allowed to continue? Are you loyal to keeping a marriage together? And so maybe you should have a talk with her husband on the side. Or are you fiercely loyal in protecting her and feel that you must tell her right away, no matter what the fallout is? Here's the tricky question: would you give the most weight to your own values, or would you give the most weight to her values, which might be another way of expressing your loyalty to her? What would you do? Okay, three very different situations and three opportunities to express your values, or even refine and strengthen your values, or maybe implement new values that better fit your life right now. And with this, then we can up level to a higher perspective in ways that we maybe hadn't even considered before. Now, I could right here go into some tips for making decisions on what to do in some different scenarios, but we're really talking about how our soul's compass is right there in our pocket, ready to guide us. It's a high frequency guiding light, and it's there every moment of every day. If it seems like it's misled us in the past and now we're wondering if it needs to be recalibrated, or maybe we've flat out ignored it and now we need to go make a wrong right again, then this might be a good time to look again at our values and strengthen what's most important to us. It might be time to look at what we really want, what direction we'd like to go now, where our compass is pointing us now into which direction. And then we can see what we can do to repair the damage, even if it's just starting with a simple apology for what we did wrong and a request to start over with a clean slate now that we have more clarity and a better direction and a stronger North Star. After all, these words compass and compassionate relate to each other so beautifully. Our moral compass is our compassion toward ourselves and others. In resetting our compass or asking for compassion after we've screwed something up might be all that it takes to right a wrong. It's a very high frequency choice based in a higher, more positive perspective. So if we need to reset our compass or ask for compassion in order to right a wrong, that's a good thing. It's a higher choice. As we empower ourselves toward self expression and who we are and our values at our core, without the negative thoughts and emotions and indecision that can drain us, we're choosing a higher frequency, higher and better thoughts, because our choice of frequency, our choice of higher and better and more positive thoughts changes the course of our journey. So, reflecting back on everything we covered today, how can you apply what you've learned? Is your moral compass guiding you to the best decisions? And is there any situation in your life that could use a little correction on the decisions you've already made? Hope this helps you as you're using the powers of alchemy to transform challenges and obstacles into positive new successes. This podcast is all about helping you have success on your spiritual growth journey. It's all about getting unstuck by unlocking your hidden power. If you still can't get your head around what's got you stuck in life or in business, you can tell me about it. You can send me a question to questions at unlockyourhiddenpower.com, or you may not know that you can schedule a one-on-one session with your own personal unstuckologist, that's me, by visiting instantbreakthroughsession.com. This private session is designed to help you tap into your greatest resource, that's you, and together we can make quite a team toward calling in the transformational powers of alchemy. In our time together, we'll uncover your single biggest stuck point, the one you can't see. We'll also go over the most genius way to create clarity so you can just move forward while one obstacle after another is obliterated. And we'll create a strategy to get you moving in a really good direction, the one that's aligned with your life purpose. If this sounds like a match made in heaven, you can hop on over to instantbreakthroughsession.com right now and book the time slot that works best for you. Well, thanks for joining me today, and I'm wishing you a life filled with all the alchemy you need to bring success to you. Feel free to share this video with anyone you know who's feeling stuck, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.